Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Alright guys, so I know I've had people ask me about this before, so this is my Mesa. And what a Mesa is basically it's a portable altar. And I just finished a healing session, so I figured, you know what, now would be a good time to talk to you guys about it, and you can see how I work with it and all of that. So, I always make my own stuff here. I've got some holy water, I got some Monet spray, and I've got some of my Palo Santo spray. I always have this here with me as well. This is my sage and my Palo Santo. And usually what I do before I even open my Mesa is I will cleanse it with smoke from the sage or the Palo. And then I will spray it down and all of that. And it's something that has representatives inside of it of different things. So once I open it up, I set it up differently for people's sessions. So I'm going to show you guys the main cloth first, which is expensive. It's from Peru, and it's very big. I ended up getting a very big one. Actually, it was a gift from a friend of mine, so thank you very much if you ever see this. And because it's so big, I've had a hard time, using it like the way that it's intended. People had said, why don't you fold it first like this to make it more of a square? So I've done that before, because when you fold it, you have to fold it a certain way. But now what I do when I'm folding it is I do it more so, hey, no. I do it more so like this. Like I will do a corner, let me make sure you can see. Yeah, you can see. So I do like a corner like this and a corner like this. And I get it to be even because I'm a little OCD, and a corner like that, and a corner like that. So then I have my square. And then each one of these, for me, when I'm doing my healings and stuff like that, is going to be representing like a direction. Now, because right now I do a lot of like twin flame healings and things like that, I usually have it like this, and I have north and south, east and west, but I do divine feminine, divine masculine. So this is my cloth thing that I hold it with. This is a rope that's more so a belt. If you were in Peru, they wear this as a belt. This here goes through here, and then on the other side it goes through this. So they kind of wear it as a belt. And you can always, like if you go to Peru, you can tell, certain people by their certain patterns. And it was interesting because this reminds me so much of this, but this was a gift to me from a different person. Most of the stuff that I have for my work is gifts. It was all gifted to me at times when I had no money, I had no abundance. It was like, hey, here, do you want this? Hey, here, do you want that? So I could always do the things I needed to do to learn what I do now. And I was very, very fortunate and abundant with manifesting those types of things. I don't always have like $1 billion in my pocket, but I always have what I need to do my healing work, so, it works out. But basically, if I had this on, it would be easier for me to show you, but it's like a belt, and it wraps around you. But I use this to tie this because it matches it so well, it just feels perfect. But when I'm setting up for a healing, this thing always ends up getting set up different. Like, for instance, what I did for the last session was I ended up doing it like the serpent, because this reminds me of the serpent, like the head here, like the head and the tail. So I had set it up like the serpent for the last sessions that I did, and it was wrapped around the entirety of the cloth like that. Sometimes, one time intuitively, I was working with a woman who does womb healings, and she had a book that she was reading about womb healings in, and she came over to my table, and I had set up my rope like this on my person that I was working on, and I had it set like the infinity sign. And when she came over and saw it, she freaked out because she had literally just journaled about it and drew this exact thing with rope on a person. Like, she had just seen it in her book, she had just drawn it in her notes, and it was the exact same thing. So a lot of times intuitively, it just makes sense to what I do. It's like, for example, when I pull cards for my healing sessions, I saw the fire card came out, right? And the fire inside of there, it looks like the Ouroboros, which is a serpent eating its own tail. And when I was afterwards, I always go through the book with my people so that they can see the full-on description in the book, and I tell them what I felt from from the card, and then the Ouroboros card came out, and there was something else that connected with it too that was just like synchronistic. So it's always divinely guided. It's always different. I just go by my intuition with it. But yeah, that's the rope part of it, which is more of a belt. But traditionally they use something like this. My other one's downstairs in my healing room, but a lot of times they just tie it with something like this. They like cross it. I'll show you at the end when I'm ready to close it up. These are my chompy stones. These are all my things that represent stuff. So the chompy stones connect with the chakras. There's 7 of them. You can get sets of 5. You can get sets of like where it's like different, like more like meteorite, or you know, like they're more metally. My dogs got a hold of these one day when I was cleansing them outside in the sun and in a bowl of water, and they bit them up. So I need to get a new set. I had bought a nice set for my friend, but she passed away, and I was gonna get another one like in her memory, because it was really pretty. This is my representation of the universe. Now, I had done a ritual one night where I had burnt, you know, this whole thing, and you put everything inside of there. I probably do a separate video about that. But basically, it's to get like abundance, or to do blessings, or to have gratitude, or whatever. You can do them for all different types of intentions. So one that I did it with the collective. I had done like a live stream, you know, me doing this despacho ceremony, and I had put a shell in the center of the despacho, and then I put flowers in and candy, and you know, everything represents something for those. But when I burnt it, it didn't burn. Obviously the shell part didn't burn, but the stuff inside of the shell didn't burn either. So instead of just tossing it out or throwing it in the water, I kept it as a representation of the universe and the collective consciousness, and all of us, you know, being represented together as one, and I always keep that in the center. Then I have my water element. You know, I did the fire element tonight, which is usually something that's part of an illumination process. I didn't do an illumination tonight, but for whatever reason, I got the candle out before the session, and then when I was pulling for her, the card that came out was fire. So I was like, okay, it makes sense that I needed the fire tonight. So we'll talk about these in a second. I just want to get the inner cloth in there. So the inner cloth I got off of Etsy. A lot of times they'll use like real animal skin and stuff like that. I'm not into that, so I just got this off of, I can't remember her name. It was like Galaxy Girl or something on there. Star Girl maybe. I can't remember, but as long as you have an inner cloth, you can get whatever you want. I think like they use like sheepskin and things to that nature. I'm not really into that, so I don't. And then I put my center here, and like I said, I usually kind of do it like with directions, with the north, the south, the east, the west, and this is like the universe, and this is like, you know, Mother Earth energy. I think I have this a little wrong. Yeah, I do. I haven't, so tonight was the first time that I had unfolded everything, because I had done a cleansing on somebody prior to doing this session, and it was really intense, and it, you know, had some nasty stuff attached to it from ill intentions of others. So I wanted to like take everything out and refold it and re-cleanse it, so I'm a little discombobulated than I normally am. And I'm also coming down from doing 2 healing sessions. So I do it more so like that, I believe. We'll see when I try to fold it. But anyways, I put my chompy stones in before the healing, always. I always make a circle inside the center. That's why I have 2 of the strings too. It's like you want to have a circle in here to encompass everything and represent like the universe, or represent, you know, Mother Earth. Really, it's up to you how you want to do your Mesa, how you want to do your sacred work, and how you represent things specifically for yourself. So I always put the chompy stones in order too. So we got 1, 2, 3. Where's 3? 3, 4, and then the little guy's 5, and then the one with the serpent is 7 and 6. So again, they all have different guys on them. The serpent's on the crown. The moon is on the 3rd eye, and you can get different sets from different places, and the lines on them represent the mountains in Peru, and you can usually tell like by certain things like what person made it, you know. I don't know specifically, but a lot of times people who make them, because they make these by hand, will mark them a certain way. So you can find out, you know, more about these things. They sell these on Etsy. They sell these on you know, eBay, Amazon, all types of places. So then I always have, if I'm going to put fire in, I put the fire on the masculine side, and I put the water on the feminine side. And sometimes I try to keep it inside of the circle. Sometimes I feel guided to put it outside of the circle and move it during the healing session. And then all of these represent something different to me from different times that I did work with the different directions, or just, you know, my own work that I've done. So this is, you know, petrified wood, and this is obsidian. So I will put these places that I feel like need to be grounded. For example, like if I feel like somebody needs to be more grounded in their emotions, I will put like the little grounder in the emotions, like specifically into the water. If I feel like somebody needs to ground more transformation or transmutation into their life, I might do that. You know what I mean? Put the candle on top of the thing. Probably not, because it would fall off and burn everything. But you get what I'm saying. This is representing the ancestors. Now, the day my mother died, I was supposed to go do my next, you know, I was supposed to go do the direction of the south the next day, an 8-hour class. I showed up and I did it. And when we were working with our ancestors. So I activated this in honor of my mom. And when my niece saw it the first time that I opened my Mesa in front of her, she was like, Graham, it's Graham. She knew. She frickin' knew. So my mother's in here, but this is also a representation of ancestors. So sometimes I'll put them in the past, or sometimes I feel like they need to be right now, like helping you in your future. Sometimes I feel like they need to be working with your feminine energy or your masculine energy. I just put them wherever they feel guided, but at the end I always, you know, tuck it in nice and close. And then this is for love and for, you know, compassion, and it's green, so it reminds me of the heart chakra. So when I feel like people need love in a certain area, I put that there. And these are my shaman balls. Now, I put this in with the piece that, this is sand that's been struck by a piece of lightning, so it's got alto mosaic energy, which is basically that person who's been struck by lightning. Now, because it looks like that, when I put it together, I call this my masculine energy. So it's kind of like a pee-pee and balls. And I always end up putting it somewhere that it feels like it needs masculine energy. Most of the time, I put it on the masculine side. Sometimes I'll feel like a person's more in their feminine energy or more in their masculine energy. I switch it up. But for the most part, it's usually here. Or if it feels like somebody wants to get rid of their masculine, like they don't want to be dealing with a person that's a man anymore, I'll put it in the past. If somebody wants to get rid of the feminine, I put them in the past. You know what I mean? And this is for my intuition and my wisdom. This looks like an owl to me. So this is to help people to gain access to that. A lot of times I end up putting this in the water, you know, to help with the emotions, the intuition, and the wisdom. Then this is my little frog. Doesn't it look like a frog? Like ready to leap? This is for new beginnings, taking that leap of faith into your life. And then these three guys, these are for our relationships. The relationship with self, the relationship with like your friends and family, and then the relationship with spirit. And I, you know, put these wherever they feel like they need to go. And then this is for when people hit a plateau in life, because to me it looks like a plateau. So when I feel like someone's hit a plateau, you know, moving forwards in their future, or I feel like they've, you know, been in their feminine energy and it's blocking them from their future, it might be guided to put it here. So what happens in the beginning of a session is, say, like, I'm like, all right, where do they need abundance? Because this is my abundance. I will take everything out and put, you know, just the chumpy stones in, and the universe in, with the water and the element over here and the fire over here. And then I scan like this, and I feel it's like a magnet. It shows me where it needs to go. And like the last healing session I did, that's where that ended up, which was the first time that's happened. I haven't really had one like slam down in the middle before. It usually gives me like a very direct here, here, or here. What I have had happen though is like things like where I'll put this here, and then halfway through the session it like bounces over there, or it moves on its own, like slides down the blanket somehow, you know. I've had those things happen, but, you know, when I'm doing the healing session, you know, I'm guiding them with my voice, and they're speaking through me, Spirit's speaking through me, so a lot of times they'll be guiding me to guide you, like in a shamanic-y, trance-like state, and then I will move things around at the same time. So, like, if we're working on the root chakra, and, you know, there's talking about something specific, a lot of times it will end up like over here, or I'll actually like do something like this where I'm pulling the energy out from you, or I'm clicking energy together to cleanse energy. Like if I feel like you've hit the plateau with the root chakra, your physical world, your basic needs, your survival, clearing it out. trying to get it to move and shake the energy and, you know, just change stuff, blow on it. I never know what I'm really doing, but I do know what I'm doing at the same time, so it's hard to describe or make sense to people who don't really understand it. A lot of times I put the abundance with the universe too, to give people the abundance of the universe. And then this is my representation of the stars. This is like, again, pointing to the future. A lot of times I'll put it here. For the last session though, it ended up in the water. Like a lot of things ended up in the emotion place. And that's basically it. My mesa's still little, it's still growing. After a session is over, I have to feed my peeps here. So what I do is I feed them with either the Monet spray, which is something I make, which is this one, not the one this is Palo spray, this cleanses. This one is cedarwood, sandalwood, and Palo Santo together. So I will spray them down and cleanse them with the Monet. Monet means love, Ki means energy. The Monet Ki is what actually got me into the shamanic path. It actually took me off on my purpose as a healer. I had gone through Reiki, I had gone through the new paradigm, I had gotten my healing certificates, I was a reader, you know, angel communication, this and that, and all these certificates and all these things, and nobody was coming to see me. And then as soon as I did this, it was like everything just kind of took off really quick. So it put me on my path. And then the star rights came in after that, which the star rights are things that the person that gave me the rights channeled a couple, and I since channeled a couple, because once you go through the Monet Key, you can do trans-channel, like you can channel in more rights, because the last two are called the rights to come. The last one is the creator's right, and that's when you get the right to start channeling, you know, more things in, and when you get them, you're supposed to give them to more people. So that's what I do, and I'm trying to get those available for people on my Vimeo right now, so that people can watch it, because I had mine done long distance from a woman in Ireland, and they changed my life. So I'm assuming if you do it with the Vimeo, it will change yours, and I can do it a lot cheaper than I would if I was doing it one-on-one with you, and you won't have to wait 8 weeks. So now what I do is I wrap, kind of similar to what I was showing you, like a little square, a little square, a little square. So, you know, the north, south, east, and west, and I think I actually did have it right the first time. So now I've got my little square for them to be wrapped up in and protected, and I like to keep them tight so I know they're not slamming around in there. And then I'm gonna do this. So this again is Mother Earth. And you can decide how you want to wrap it. You know, you don't have to be crazy about it. But you can wrap Mother Earth first, and then you can do the feminine first or the masculine first. I've gone back and forth on who I want to be on top sometimes. Sometimes I feel like putting the feminine on top, maybe, you know, blocking a divine masculine from being able to come forward. So a lot of times I'll try to put the feminine below, underneath, and give the masculine the top. But then sometimes I'm like, do they need to be closer to the thing? Like, I go back and forth inside of my mind about it, but it really doesn't matter, as long as it feels right to you. So you saw what I did there. Earth comes up, and then the feminine, I basically fold over and then fold again, and then the masculine, I fold over and fold again. Now that's because I have such a big cloth. If you had a small square, you could probably get away with just folding it like a little bit. And then for the universe, I leave this out because I need to tuck it, okay? So I'm going to keep it nice and tight, and I'm going to tuck it down, flip it over, and then you have like a pocket here, right? So that's where this goes. That's where the excess stuff goes. And then I wrap it in there nice and tight, and there it is. There's my mesa all wrapped up. So then I take my cloth, which is bigger than, you know, traditional ones. Oh shit, I forgot to put this in there. These two things go in there too. Usually I'll put like delicate things in here, or extra stones in here that have been gifts, or things that I might activate later on to go into this. And this came as a gift with these little hands, and I was holding stones in this before to protect them as well, but because I forgot to put them in, and I don't want to, you know, open the whole thing back up, I'm just going to tuck them in here, which this is really cool, because you can tuck like your oils, you can tuck your, you know, Palo Santo in there, you can tuck little bottles in there, really whatever you want. It's like a little, like I said, it's a portable altar. Whatever you want to bring with you that you feel is sacred and that you need, you throw it in here, wrap it up, and you're good to go. You can go do your healing work on somebody somewhere. So because this is longer than traditional, a lot of times it comes out different each time. But for the most part, I try to get it, you know, so that this is facing forward and it looks nice. And I'll do like a cross. So I do like a cross like that. And then I try to keep this back here because it takes up so much space. And I flip this over. And sometimes I'll cross it again right here, like that. And then when I bring this to the front, I tie this nice and tight. You know, like I kind of wrap this around it. Or I'll either like tuck it underneath, like underneath this one. But if you had the regular, you know, string, it'd be a lot easier. But then I just do this, and then I wrap it like nice and tight, and make it look, you know, like it's spiraled around it, just to make it look better than having like a bunch of weirdness all over the place. This isn't my best job, actually. It's gonna bug me if I leave it like that. So what I'm gonna do is change it a little bit. Like I said, I'm a little OCD, so things like that bother me. So I can wrap this around like this. And then when I get up here, take this and wrap it around like this. And I don't know how many of you guys will actually go out and get one of these, but you can get these on the Shamans market, the actual Mesa cloth. And if you just go on their site and like search it, you should be able to find it. And then the other stuff, you know, rocks and stuff, you can just find at the beach, you can find on a sacred walk, you know, just have the intention to find something specific, you know, to represent different things. Or like if you're out doing something and you see a rock and it reminds you of something, like the frog. You know, I had that frog rock for years. And I had painted like the little eye on it, the little black dot on it years ago. And I had it in a bag full of rocks because I collect rocks because I'm a weirdo. And when I was doing the Mesa stuff, she was like, go out for this and find 3 rocks and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, can I just bring one that I have? And she's like, yeah, sure. So I already had it. So you may have a rock that represents something to you already that you can put inside of here. So when you're doing healing sessions physically with a person, you know, when I'm physically working with a person, I'll take the stone and like clap it over their chakras, or I'll, you know, pull energy out, or I'll place it right on their body to like absorb energy. You know, when I do healing sessions in person, I use all types of stones. You know, and earlier I did a session, that was really intense. Somebody needed to get more in alignment with their truth. I brought out kyanite and placed it on the side that was, you know, representing the person that needed truth. And, you know, I can use this as something to like draw energy out. You could do it for psychic surgery, like if you felt like somebody had something inside of them that you needed to like go into. If you're not really good at or know what you're doing, you might want to hold back with some of the stuff like that, but it's all intention. As long as you got pure intention and you're doing stuff like guided by spirit, you're usually pretty good. I always make sure I open the vortex and sacred space before I do anything with anybody, and then I cleanse, clear, and protect myself afterwards. I usually even will burn smoke, you know, like the sage or the palo at the end of a session to like cleanse anything left that's any residue. And yeah, that's my Mesa, and that's how I use it, and that's what I do. So hopefully that helped some people, or gave you guys some ideas on things you can do with stuff that you have. And all of these things that these oils and stuff, I've got a couple of them on Etsy now. Both of these are on Etsy. All of my decks are on Etsy. And right now my healing sessions and everything that I do, like anything that's over $44 on my website right now, is 44% off until the 14th of April. April 2020, from the 4th to the 14th, you can get 44% off if it's a $44 session and up. So my 5-question readings and up, and my healing session, my trance sessions, my, like automatic writing sessions, all of those things you can get pretty discounted right now. But I am booked out for 8 weeks, so just know that when you sign up. Okay, guys? So hopefully this assisted you in Renee. Namaste.